The grand hall of the Vraxian Empire shimmered with cruel opulence. Towers of crystal steel rose above the throne, reflecting the golden armor of Emperor Lura'Vrax. His laughter echoed through the chamber, deep and venomous, as the courtiers bowed low. "Let the humans have her," he declared, voice booming across the hall. "Let them see what weakness looks like." At the base of the throne stood Princess Lura'Vrax, his youngest daughter. Her violet eyes were wide with humiliation. Among the Vraxians, tall, lean, and bred for war, her soft form was a disgrace. Her curves and gentle voice made her a constant target of ridicule. Now her father would use her as a political joke, a mockery wrapped in silk. "Send her to the Terran colony of Helion," Lura'Vrax sneered. "A peace offering, they'll call it. But we'll know better." Lura tried to speak, but the Emperor silenced her with a glance. To resist would mean exile, or worse. Around her, alien nobles chuckled, whispering about the Emperor's gift bride. Later, in her private chamber, Lura packed what little she owned, a small hollow crystal of her mother and a book of human poetry she had secretly admired. Her trembling hands betrayed her fear. She was being exiled to a world of strangers. Still, a small spark flickered in her chest. Humans were said to be crude, yes, but also kind. They built families where empires built armies. Perhaps among them, she could disappear. As her ship lifted from the Emperor's palace, Lura stared at the stars through tear-filled eyes. Somewhere out there, beyond the reach of cruelty, maybe she would find what her father could never understand. Someone who saw worth where others saw shame. And far away, on a dusty planet, a human mechanic waited. The transport ship pierced through the pale clouds of Helion 9, a desert world claimed by human engineers and miners. From her seat by the viewport, Lura'Vrax watched the landscape roll out like a sea of bronze dust, broken by domes of steel and light. It was not the shining jewel of Vraxian worlds, but there was something alive about it, something real. When the ship landed, a small human welcoming crew awaited her. Soldiers, diplomats, and one man in a grease-stained jacket stood among them. He was unshaven, with a cybernetic arm that gleamed faintly in the sunlight. His name, she learned, was Eli Tanner, a mechanic assigned to maintain colony ships. Most of the delegation treated her like a fragile inconvenience. They smiled politely, spoke carefully, and quickly returned to their duties. But Eli lingered. When her escort hesitated to carry her luggage, he wordlessly took it himself. "Don't worry, princess," he said, voice low and kind. "You're safe here. Dusty but safe." The simplicity of his tone startled her. On Vraxia, no one spoke to her like that, without ceremony, without fear. He led her through the colony. Noisy hangars, humming generators, children chasing drones through the sand. Everywhere she looked, she saw movement, laughter, imperfection, and warmth. Inside Eli's workshop, the air smelled of oil and ozone. He cleared a bench for her, brushed off metal scraps, and gestured. "Not a palace," he said with a crooked grin, "but it's home." Lura's eyes softened. "It's alive," she whispered. For the first time since leaving her father's throne, she felt something stir in her chest. Not fear, but a fragile, glowing curiosity. Maybe humanity's rough edges weren't flaws. Maybe they were the shape of something beautiful. Days passed beneath the twin suns of Helion 9, and Lura began to find a strange rhythm in Eli Tanner's workshop. The air was always thick with the scent of metal dust and heat, the hiss of plasma welders echoing off steel walls. Eli moved through it all with calm precision, his cybernetic hands steady as he mended broken ships. She watched him work, how he muttered softly to the machines, as if coaxing them to wake. When one of the colony's cargo haulers sputtered and died, he didn't curse or kick it as the others did. He listened. He adjusted. He understood. "You treat machines like living things," she said one evening. Eli looked up, smiling beneath a streak of soot. "Ain't much different sometimes. Both need care. Both can break if you push too hard." The words lingered with her. On Vraxia, machines were perfect or discarded. No second chances. But here, in this cluttered, imperfect place, humans rebuilt what others would abandon. One afternoon, she dared to help him. Her long, delicate fingers weren't suited for heavy tools, but she steadied parts, handed him wires, followed his instructions. Together, they repaired an old atmospheric skimmer. When it powered up with a gentle hum, Eli grinned. "See? Told you. Human touch fixes everything." Lura laughed, the sound surprising even herself. It had been years since she'd laughed without fear. Eli glanced at her, and for a moment, the world outside the workshop vanished. In that tiny moment of light, Lura realized something profound. Eli Tanner, this rough, human mechanic, carried a kind of nobility her father's empire could never forge. He didn't conquer things. He mended them. And perhaps, she thought, he might one day mend her too. Far across the void, in the cold spires of Vraxia Prime, Emperor Vrax sat upon his iron throne, eyes burning as reports streamed before him. Hollow feeds showed his daughter smiling, beside filthy human laborers, her once regal hands stained with oil. "She works among them," he roared, his voice shaking the hall. The princess of Vraxia, reduced to a servant? Advisors bowed low, trembling. "It appears she has been accepted, sire." The humans treat her kindly. The emperor's rage deepened into contempt. "Kindness," he spat, "is a weakness that breeds rot." He struck the console, sending sparks flying. "Send drones. Watch her. If she dares to dishonor this empire further, I will see her erased." Meanwhile, on Helion 9, Lura felt the sting of that same cruelty. The colony's broadcast relayed an imperial speech, her father's voice, cold and venomous, declaring her an exile unworthy of her name. The words sliced through her like glass. She turned away from the hologram, shoulders shaking. "He will never stop hating me," she whispered. Eli found her in the corner of his workshop, her eyes reflecting the glow of a plasma torch. He crouched beside her, his voice gentle. "You don't need his approval, Lura. You don't need to fit his world to matter in ours." He opened his hand. Inside lay a small, rough metal flower he'd forged from scrap. "Here, for you. Doesn't look like much, but it won't break easy." She took it with trembling fingers. The gesture was simple, almost childish, yet it carried more warmth than all her father's empire ever had. For the first time, she believed the unthinkable. Perhaps the universe's cruelest joke wasn't her exile at all. Perhaps it was that her father had sent her straight into freedom. The peace of Helion 9 shattered one crimson dawn. A siren wailed through the colony as streaks of fire lit the sky. Vraxian warships descending like predators through the upper atmosphere. The Empire had come. Inside the hangar, Eli was already pulling on his gear, face grim beneath the dust. "They've tracked her," he muttered. "They're not here for us. They're here for you." Lura froze, heart hammering. She knew the ships, the markings of her father's elite guard, the Crimson Talents. They would not stop until she was reclaimed or destroyed. The colonists scrambled for cover, arming defense turrets and sealing domes. Eli grabbed her hand. "You said the ship could fly, right?" "It can," she whispered. "But it's not tested." He gave her a crooked grin. "Then we'll test it now." They ran to Unity's Spark, the hybrid craft glowing like a heart reborn. As plasma fire rained outside, Lura climbed into the pilot's seat while Eli handled weapons and shields. The engines roared. Human intuition fused with alien precision. When the first Vraxian drone swooped low, Lura's instincts kicked in. She rolled the ship sharply, the maneuver fluid alive. Eli hooped from the co-pilot's chair. "You can fly." The spark darted between laser trails, returning fire with makeshift cannons powered by salvaged plasma cores. Below, the colonists cheered as the hybrid ship fought back against impossible odds. Through the chaos, Lura's fear burned into resolve. For the first time, she wasn't running from her father's cruelty. She was defying it. As explosions painted the dawn, Eli's voice broke through the calms. "Welcome to the fight, princess." Lura's lips curved into a fierce smile. "Then let's show them what humans and their jokes can do." The sky above Helion 9 became a storm of fire and smoke. Vraxian drones poured from the warships, sleek and merciless, their plasma cannons tearing through the colony's perimeter. But humanity refused to kneel. Mechanics, miners, and scientists, ordinary people, rose together in defense of their world. Eli Tanner and Lura'Vrax piloted Unity's spark through the chaos, their voices steady over the comms. "Coming in on your right," Eli shouted, adjusting power flow through a maze of human wiring. "Push the stabilizers. Give her everything she's got." Lura's hands flew across the controls. "Hold on," she cried, diving the ship low over the dunes. Twin plasma bursts slammed into two pursuing drones, shattering them into molten fragments. The colonists on the ground roared in triumph. What the Vraxian fleet didn't expect was humanity's improvisation. While alien ships relied on rigid orders, humans fought with chaos, repurposing mining lasers into cannons, welding scrap metal into armor, turning their very colony into a fortress. Lura watched in awe as Eli's people fought with both fury and laughter. Even in the heart of battle, someone shouted, "Keep that welder hot," and another answered with a joke. It made no sense, and yet it made them unstoppable. She realized the truth then. Humans didn't fight for dominance. They fought for each other. As the battle turned, Lura opened a transmission channel to the Vraxian fleet. Her voice rang clear across the stars. "You call kindness weakness. You call compassion a flaw. But look at them. These humans create life even in war. They build where you destroy." Silence followed. Then, one by one, the drones began to fall back, their programming wavering under her words. Humanity had done what no empire could. Won through heart. Across the galaxy, the broadcast of Princess Lura'Vrax's defiance spread faster than any weapon. Her words, spoken amid fire and smoke, reached the farthest Vraxian outposts, where soldiers paused to listen. For the first time, they heard not the Emperor's command, but truth. On Vraxia Prime, Emperor Vrax watched the transmission in silence. His daughter's voice echoed through the throne hall, calm yet unyielding. Around him, the same generals who once mocked her now shifted uneasily. The image of the hybrid ship, the union of alien and human ingenuity, was an image of treason. It was also hope. "Silence that transmission," the Emperor roared. But the systems failed, sabotaged by his own engineers, inspired by her courage. Rebellion erupted. Entire fleets refused orders. Colonies raised banners of unity instead of conquest. The Emperor's grip, built on fear and pride, began to crumble. Meanwhile, above Helionine, Unity's spark continued its defense. The last of the Imperial cruisers hovered uncertainly before retreating, their commanders unwilling to fire upon the daughter of Vraxia, the one now called the voice of two worlds. When the smoke cleared, Lura stood beside Eli on the landing field, watching the dawn rise through drifting ash. "He won't forgive this," she said softly. Eli smiled, resting a hand on her shoulder. "Then let him choke on it." Far away, the Emperor's flagship burned, betrayed by his own fleet. His empire collapsed, not from invasion, but from inspiration. And as his power fell to ruin, one truth echoed through the galaxy. The smallest act of compassion can undo the mightiest cruelty. Lura had not just escaped her father's shadow. She had ended it. Weeks after the last Vraxian cruiser vanished beyond the stars, peace settled over Helionine. The colony that once echoed with alarms now hummed with laughter and rebuilding. Among the wreckage, humans and freed Vraxians worked together, welding, planting, creating. Out of ruin, a new dawn rose. Lura stood beside Eli Tanner in the hangar where everything had begun. The battered ship, Unity's spark, rested proudly on its landing struts, a living symbol of what they had built together. Its hull was scorched, patched with human scrap and alien alloys, yet it gleamed in the morning sun. "They'll rebuild faster than anyone expects," Eli said, wiping his hands on a rag. "Humans don't stay broken for long." Lura smiled softly, "Nor do those who learn from them." Her voice carried a strength it had never known. No longer the timid daughter of an emperor, She had become something else, a bridge between worlds. Children from both species ran past them, chasing a drone that painted bright lights in the air. In their laughter, Lura heard the future she had once thought impossible. Eli turned to her. "So, princess, what now?" She looked at him, eyes warm. "No more princess, just Lura. And I think we build again, together. A place where our kinds can learn, work, and live as one. Ili Grineth. A workshop for the stars." She laughed quietly. Exactly. At the center of the hangar, she placed a small metal flower, the one he had once given her, on the console of Unity's spark. It shimmered faintly in the light. "Let this remind us," she whispered, "that strength isn't born of conquest, but connection." And as the suns rose over Helion 9, the galaxy's new era began, with a mechanic's heart and a princess's hope.